Today's video is the 5 reasons why you should be running off-road more than you might already do. In a moment I'm going to take you through each point in turn, and I'm going to do so over a backdrop of me literally running an off-road race that I'm about to go and do. Perfect, you're better hear me talking about how good off-road running is at the same time as seeing me enjoying it. Racing through the forest, up and down hills, charging through the wet bits, just having an amazing time. I gave up my Saturday morning lie-in with my beautiful wife to go and do this because that's how great it is going to be. You'll be inspired watching this. You'll want to stick on your trainers. What? I'm filming, hang on. Okay. Well, I can, but I hate it. Cheers. They've tested the water sections and it's chest deep in places, so they're making sure we can all swim. Siri, text my wife, are you still in bed? Smiley face, winky face, X. Winky face, winky face. She was already out of bed, so I'm staying for the run. As with anything on this channel, I'm not a coach or an expert, I'm just someone doing things that I enjoy and doing so reasonably well, at least enough to be slightly above average. So copy me at your own risk, and the same with any advice that I give. I'm really just saying, hey, this is what seems to work for me, but I might just be lucky. So if you want to run it past your own trainer, your doctor, your mummy, feel free to do so. Okay, future me is now going to pop up on the screen somewhere and take you through the 5 benefits of off-road running. Now me is going to go and do it and get absolutely soaked, unless they tested the water with somebody very, very short, hobbit short, in which case I suppose I might just end up, I don't know, saturated from the groin down. I can't believe she's out of bed already. Right then, 5 reasons to run off-road. Actually, before we get started, if you're a regular to this channel, this might amuse you. If you're thinking, can I hear music? Yes, you can. As I started today's race, there was a chap ahead of me carrying a stereo in his backpack, which is normally one of the more obnoxious things you can do on a trail run, running through a forest and encountering a mobile DJ. It's kind of passive smoking for the ears. However, this guy was playing the Rocky soundtrack. And he didn't stay in front of me for very long, so I'm going to let him off. Anyway, I thought that might amuse you. If you're new to the channel, I love Rocky 4. Number 1, it is easier on your body, especially if you're a bit heavier than you should be. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't believe running on the road is bad for you. I began my running on the road and I was weighing over 330 pounds at the time. I've always run in minimalist, low cushion shoes. I've never had a serious running injury. I believe we humans are by and large meant to be able to run. But there is no question that going off-road is easier on your joints, it's easier on your muscles, and they just have less impact to deal with compared to running on tarmac and pavement. And it's not just that harsh pounding that you avoid, and who wouldn't want to avoid that, it's also the lack of repetitiveness. When you run on the road, every single stride that you take is the same as one before, and the way you land is the same every time. The way you push off is the same every time. I understand that over the duration of a longer run, there will be some degree of variance, but it's minimal. When I'm training for a long road run, I am literally training myself to just repeat the same action over and over and over without slowing, without tiring. And because of that, any tiny issue with the way you run that might not ever really create a problem if you only exposed yourself to it occasionally, that can fast become a repetitive strain injury, can become shin splints, inflammation build up. Off-road, because of the constantly varying nature of the terrain that you're covering, you're often not running for more than a few minutes without changing something. It could be your speed, your stride length, the surface you're on, the incline. Problems that are created from repeatedly doing the same thing are just much less common. Before I started off-road running, towards the end of any running year, I'd start to get very minor but annoying Achilles pain. And since I started incorporating off-road running into my training and racing, no issues. In fact, because of the low impact nature of it, I will always try and do my long, slow recovery runs off-road to give my legs a chance to just get some miles in without adding to any soreness or inflammation that's been caused by whatever I've been doing on the road prior to that. Number 2, it's nice to give yourself a break from the numbers. I love monitoring the data that I gather on my Garmin watch when I'm running. I'm a numbers geek. I want to know my overall pace, my pace for the current kilometre, my expected completion time, my heart rate. And when I'm on the bike, it's even worse. I want to know my power output, my left and right pedal balance, the list goes on. And I want to know that because I know what I'm capable of doing, so I can then use that information to judge my performance, or if I'm training, to make sure that I'm achieving what I want from that session. But it's nice occasionally to just switch off from that. I wore my Garmin on today's race, but I only interacted with it twice, to start it and stop it. There's no point looking at it any other time because I've got no idea what my numbers should be looking like. If it's a road race and I've just gone through the 5k marker, I know to the second roughly what my watch should be telling me. But today, as I'm wading through a stream, I've got no idea what terrain's coming up. I've got no idea what's around the corner. There's nothing useful my watch can tell me. I know it's a 10k event and they had marker points out every kilometre, so I know how far I've gone, but I've got no idea if I'm going to be doing it in 45 minutes, 55 minutes, over the hour. I just ran and focused on that. And there's something almost very therapeutic about being able to put performance data to one side and just run. Which brings me on to number 3. I've explained how it's better for your body. I believe it's also better for your mind. Again, I love running on the road. I love monitoring how I'm doing and going better than last time. I love the simplicity of running, which means that in general, the more you do, the better you get at it, especially when you're starting out. But there is something just incredibly relaxing, while still physically exhausting, about running through nature. Just the sheer simplicity of having to get yourself from A to B by going through or around or over, whatever's between those 2 points. For me, it's almost like a primal thing. It just feels like something you should, as a human, be able to do and be comfortable doing. The best comparison I can make is that I used to race motorcycles on track days. I would do hundreds. I got to the point where I was above average. And then one day, I remember going home from a track day. I was disappointed. I hadn't fallen off. Nothing had been broken. I just felt that I was a few tenths of a second off the pace that I was looking for. There were a couple of corners where I never quite got my gear change timed right. I'd been fiddling around with the suspension and it just never felt like a great day. It just didn't click. Within 2 weeks, I'd sold my bike and I bought an off-road bike instead. And I have never had those negative thoughts with that. If I get from A to B somehow, which I've always managed to do, then the day is a success. And in many ways, the more problems between A and B, the better I feel at the end of it. Stress for humans exists to provide us with a motivation, adrenaline, to solve a problem that we encounter there and then. Are we going to catch our dinner? Are we going to fight off the saber-toothed tiger? Are we going to find shelter for the night? The stress exists for a short time until the problem's solved, and dissipates completely after that. It allows for a beautiful night's sleep. I don't want to be stressed about my mortgage, my tax return, my bills 24/7 in a way that never goes away. You go to sleep with that stress. I want my stress to be as it was today. I've got to get across this stream, I've got to get up that hill, I've got to get this thing done. And I do it, and then no more stress. The sense of relaxation, of de-stressing after a tough trail run is significant. It just feels like you've accomplished something that you've been designed to be able to accomplish. And of course, there is the added bonus that if you want, you can run through some of the most stunning scenery. I've done runs where my brain has been so fixated on the vista that I've forgotten the blister. That's probably on a t-shirt. In summary, the view running across top of a mountain will leave you feeling a different way to running through a housing estate. Number 4. It is better all-round exercise. Now, if your objective is to be a very fast road runner, it's not better for that. But if you're running for general health and fitness, get off-road. First of all, it is harder on the body in a good way. I started off by saying that it is less impactful on the body, and it is. But without a hard surface to spring off, you need to work harder to maintain your momentum. Any given distance off-road is likely to be a more draining workout than the same distance on-road. The simple fact that you'll probably have more hills, more descents, means you'll be working your legs in a far more holistic fashion. Running over uneven terrain, having to move around obstacles, over obstacles, means that the core strength required is vastly increased over running on the road in a straight line. And your foot constantly having to correct itself when landing on unstable surfaces is excellent training for that responsive stability in your ankles. That means you're much less likely to suffer a rolling injury, despite running in an environment where you'd think that an injury might be commonplace. I played basketball when I was a kid. I had multiple rolled ankles that would leave my feet black and blue with bruising. I've never rolled an ankle off-road. I've had numerous occasions where my ankle has started to roll, I felt it go, I've been able to catch it, stabilise myself, and then keep moving forwards. I compare it to doing an exercise in the gym using a machine versus free weights. A machine will take you through a very predetermined range of motion and a plane of motion, exercising a very specific body part, and in some cases can do that very well. But free weights, while still exercising the relevant body part and probably better, they will also add all sorts of additional benefits in terms of maintaining stability, maintaining mental focus on what you're doing with your form, and ultimately allowing your body to just work in the way it's supposed to work, as opposed to the way the designer of some machine thinks the average shaped body should be working. And lastly, number 5, it is more fun. And I get completely that running on the road can also be incredible fun. But the most passionate road runner must agree that just barreling through a forest, jumping over logs, dodging wildlife, interacting with the environment, with a singular purpose of just getting where you're going, irrespective of time and pace, is just a laugh. If you have dogs, take them with you. If you've got kids, stick them on a mountain bike, take them with you. I've done loads of off-road training runs with Jenna following along on the mountain bike, the dogs alongside us, 2 hours out in the middle of nowhere. That is a more enjoyable experience than all of us going past an office block sucking in car fumes. And if you race, and you should, then that enjoyment definitely transitions over to the competitive side too. That doesn't mean people don't take it seriously. The people winning the trail runs that I enter are absolute top-end athletes and crush it. But when you come down the field, there's a difference in the way a lot of the runners approach it. On the run today, there were so many people running in groups of 4 or 5 or 6 friends, or just going out with their husbands and wives, people running with their kids. I run races, 10Ks with Jenna, and it's fine, but it's not ideal. We go at different paces, so either I'm slowing down and she's trying to catch up. But off-road, no one cares. It's far easier just to treat it as an experience, irrespective of your time. Or if you want to race hard, you can do that too. Talking of which, in today's run, I did it in just under 1 hour, 9 minutes, 59th out of 309, so scraped inside the top 20%, which is okay, slightly better, and a very cool addition to the race that I've not seen before. They separately chip timed the last 400 metres to the finish line to see who had the strongest sprint finish, and there I got 18th. So almost top 5%. Hope you found it useful. If you're new to the channel, not yet a subscriber, please consider doing so. If you find it entertaining, give it a like, and I'll see you on the next one.